Hey guys, welcome back for another video review. The product we are looking at today is called the HDMI switcher. Now, you must be wondering, why would I need an HDMI switcher? Now, most television sets these days come with maybe 2 or 3 HDMI ports, but the number of HDMI connected devices are increasing every day. Now, I myself have about 4 HDMI connected devices. There's the PlayStation, my TV set, and TV box rather, and I also have a Chromecast and a Fire TV stick. Now, my television only supports 2 HDMI ports, so each time I want to connect a different device, I have to go back, reach out behind the TV set, remove the existing connected device, and then plug in the one that I want to connect. Now, this is where the HDMI switcher comes in. This is the solution to the problem. What it basically allows you to do is add many more ports to your existing television set, and this itself is the HDMI switcher. As you can see, it's got ports 2 through 6 on this side, and the output port on the right, and another input port on the left. So a total of 6 HDMI inputs and 1 HDMI output. So it turns a single HDMI port on your television set into 6 equivalent HDMI input ports. And this is a pretty high quality product. It's not lightweight or not made of cheap plastic. You can really feel the quality as you hold the product in your hand. There's the switch button that allows you to switch through the HDMI ports manually, as well as there's a remote control if you want to use the remote to switch between the ports. So let's take the accessories out of the box. There's a very nice, sleek and cool looking remote. Here's a close look at it. It's also got the power cable that supplies power to the HDMI switch, as well as some information about the seller and some basic details and instructions about the product. So let's go ahead and connect this to the TV right away. Alright guys, so as a first step, you need to find a convenient location for the HDMI switcher. It should be placed in such a way that the remote controls waves can access the device. So you don't want to keep it in an obstructed place, or you don't want to keep it behind the television set. You can keep it somewhere right here, close to the television set. And an HDMI cable is not included with the HDMI switcher, so you do need an extra HDMI cable. If you already have it, then you're good. If you don't, then you can just purchase one. They are not too expensive these days. You can get a decent HDMI cable for just a few bucks. Alright, so I do have my own HDMI cable. It's a pretty nice one, perfect length, not too long, so no hanging wires. And you want to plug it into the output port of the TV, of the HDMI switcher, and the other end of this cable goes into any one of the HDMI ports on your television. Alright guys, there we go. So I have plugged in the HDMI cable, the output HDMI cable, and connected it to the TV set. Next thing you want to do is you want to connect all the additional HDMI inputs from your devices, such as the PlayStation or the TV, digital TV box and things like that. And you want to start using ports 1 through 6, depending on the number of devices you have. So I plugged in my TV into port 1. I'm going to plug in the Chromecast to port 2. I'm going to plug in the Fire TV stick to port 3, and last but not the least, I'm going to plug in the PlayStation to port 4. Alright guys, so that's done. All the connections have been made, and the last step is to supply power to the HDMI switcher. So I'm going to connect the power cable. Alright, so I've plugged in one end of the power cable to the wall outlet, and the other end goes in to the HDMI switcher, and immediately there's a light that comes on here. You can see the lights, you can see the input and output ports lighting up, and it gives you an idea about which one's in use. Currently it's set to 2, and we're going to use the remote control, or we can even use the switch button to flip between the different input ports. So you would notice that as soon as I press the switch button, number 4 turned blue. That means it's on. It selected number 4 as the input, which was for the PlayStation. I press it again, it goes back to 1, which is for the TV box. Alright, so let's have a quick look at the remote as well. Alright, so here's the remote. It can pretty much control the HDMI switch completely, but before you can start using it, you want to pull this plastic out. Basically avoids battery drain when the product is in transit to you, and it'll only work after you pull this plastic out. So once you've pulled the plastic out, you can simply press which port you want to use, 2, 3 or 4, and it would flip to that one. So right now it's on 3. If I press 4, it should light up 4, and there we go. Right away it did that. So let's power on the TV and let's see what it looks like. Alright guys, there we go. All the input ports are connected, output ports are connected, the remote is working, and the device is powered on. Let's test it out. Right now it's on input 1. I'm going to press the remote and choose input 2, and immediately it flips to the Chromecast. Press 3 and it flips to the Fire TV stick. I press 4 and it flips through to the TV box. So it's a pretty effective way of adding HDMI ports to your existing television sets without having to go through the hassle of connecting and disconnecting wires each time. So this is perfect solution to add more input ports to your TV and get the convenience of having to be able to control all of them via a single remote control. So at this point I have 6 input ports, 6 input HDMI ports via this HDMI switcher, plus an additional one which is not currently in use behind the TV. So a total of 7 HDMI ports to a TV which previously had just 2. So overall this is a great device. I'm pretty impressed with the features and the quality, and no complaints there. Looking forward to using it without having to go through the hassle of connecting and disconnecting wires. Your comments, questions and feedback are always welcome. Hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you for watching.